So today I'm talking about vomiting, which is a really common thing in dogs. And the first thing to talk about is the difference between vomiting and regurgitation. Now, to a layperson, they probably sound like exactly the same thing, but they certainly aren't. Regurgitation is when food is brought up pretty much intact. So the dog eats something and straight away out it comes again. And it's just like, it's literally regurgitated. It's food that's been swallowed, then brought up again. That's regurgitation. That can indicate things like esophageal problems, but also dogs are actually very good at regurgitating, because if a bitch is feeding a litter of pups, the thing she'll do naturally is to regurgitate some of her food to feed the puppies, so they can eat some of the food that she's eaten elsewhere. The interesting thing is that dogs actually have a voluntary muscle in their esophagus, in their gullet, which a voluntary muscle is a type of muscle which you can control by yourself, by your own will, compared to other muscles, for example, in the intestines, which they work away by themselves without you doing anything, or the heart as well. You can't say, beat harder and faster, heart, and it won't just do it for you, because it's an automatic muscle. So most of the muscles inside us are automatic muscles, and one of the exceptions to the rule is the muscle of the esophagus of a dog, which is voluntary. So in other words, dogs can decide, I'm going to regurgitate my food, and they can do that very easily. So that's regurgitation. But vomiting is different. Vomiting is a forceful contraction of the stomach, expelling all the contents of the stomach, which include partially digested food. So often vomiting will happen sometime after a meal's been eaten, not instantly. It's a much more kind of slightly violent kind of, where the whole dog is kind of really putting the whole body in to do it as they bring up the vomit. So it is quite common in dogs. It's one of the more common reasons why dogs have to be brought to the vet. And one of the reasons it's common is that dogs have evolved as scavengers. And what that means is that they've evolved to be very quick to eat something that they find. And what happens then is their body automatically kind of assesses what's landed in their stomach and makes, if you like, a decision as to whether that's good or bad. And if it's bad, they'll vomit and they'll get rid of it. So dogs are quick to vomit compared to some other species. So we wouldn't worry quite so much about dogs vomiting, perhaps, as some other species of animals. So, but still, it is a serious sign. And I suppose vomiting can be split up into two different types. First of all, acute vomiting. In other words, dog vomits once or twice. That's acute vomiting. Or chronic vomiting. That's where after 3 days, your dog has been, still vomiting after 3 days. So they're two very different things. Acute vomiting, short term, we don't worry about too much, because as long as the dog remains bright and well in themselves, it may just be part of their natural function of expelling something they don't want from their stomach, if you like. So if your dog vomits once, generally, as long as they're bright and cheerful and in good form, we really wouldn't do too much other than withholding their food, just offering them water for a day. Not even a day, even 12 hours, just a bit of a gap, a bit of a pause of their food, and then instead of their regular food, give them something that's highly digestible. For example, some scrambled eggs with boiled white rice, or even a special tin of a low residue, bland diet that your vet will supply you with. So for a simple case of vomiting, simple withholding of food and then bland diet for 24 hours, that's enough to fix them. Problem sorted, no more vomiting. So if your dog's been vomiting for 2 days, it's still bright and cheerful and well, but it's been for 2 days now, well then, this is a chronic vomiting case, and you do need to take them to the vet. And your vet will check over your dog carefully, and often they'll need to do certain tests to rule out some of the serious causes of vomiting. And examples of the tests that they might do would be a blood test, and that will tell them about your dog's level of hydration, as well as some things like whether their internal organs are working properly. Things like liver disease, kidney disease, pancreatic disease, these could all cause vomiting. So a blood test will check for all those things and hopefully reassure you that those organs are all working normally. The vet may also recommend x-rays. A common cause of chronic vomiting would be a foreign body, which means something stuck in the intestines. I just had a dog in this morning, actually, which is a good example, where the dog has a well-known habit of picking up stones and rocks, and the dog had been vomiting for 2 days, and they were worried that something could be stuck inside the dog. The dog was still well, still went for a walk this morning, but just kept on vomiting. So we took x-rays of the dog, and if there'd been a stone stuck there, we would have seen on the x-ray, we would have seen the big white area showing a stone in the intestines, and you'd also see a pattern of gas around the stone. The gas shows up as black on the x-ray. So whatever, vets are able to take x-rays and then to tell from the pattern they see on the x-ray whether there's something stuck inside your dog, whether there's a foreign body there. So usually once your vet's examined your dog and they've done blood tests to show that everything is working normally inside, and they've done x-rays to show that there's nothing stuck inside your dog, it's then a case of giving treatment, because once you've ruled out the more serious causes, you're down to things like viruses or non-specific irritations of the stomach, which can cause repeated vomiting. And that's often treated with drugs just to calm down the stomach acidity and to block the vomiting reflex, so a vicious circle of vomiting settles down. But your vet will advise you about all that anyway. Now, there are the exceptional cases where once the bloods and the x-rays are all normal and the dog has given the standards to the treatment, well, they still continue to vomit. And that gets more complicated. That's when you get into the techniques perhaps like doing an endoscopy of your dog, to take biopsies of the stomach to see is there any other strange reason why your dog could be vomiting. Examples include things like stomach tumours can start off with a dog just vomiting. There's a long, long list of possibilities. So I hope that's given you some sort of understanding of when to worry about a dog vomiting and what to do when they do.